curious if you have seen him, if you have talked to him. I
Yep.
saw you
Yep.
watching the game with him last week, but
Yep.
I
Yep.
think one of the narratives was mentally he was broken going into the first fight.
First
And
fight. Yep.
as I mentioned to Connor in our interview, like Ally Quinta said, "Oh, Dustin's already lost this fight. He's too happy to be here. He's happy to play a part, the charity and all that stuff." Do you get the sense that Dustin is coming for a win, or is he coming just to take part in this fight?
When I spoke to Dustin last week in Vegas, I could see him trying to manage all of the emotion, right? We got to Vegas, it was like, okay, now it's time. He had to manage all the emotion as to how he would approach everything. And we spoke and we talked, and there were a lot of questions, And so when a fighter starts to ask those questions, you realize they're kind of sifting and working through things in regards to how the approach is going to be. So I left Vegas thinking he's going to have some work to do to get himself mentally right in order to go into this fight. I talked to him today, and he's much different, right? It seems like whatever questions he had to answer himself, he's gotten them in check. He's figured out his approach, and he seems ready to go. I mean, dude seems confident. He seems sure. He's got a fantastic strategy, and he seems like he's ready to go and try to accomplish something that a lot of people in the world don't think. I always talk about the fight, right? And obviously, when Conor McGregor fights, he's a lot of the story. And people talk like, well, you guys are overlooking Dustin. No, we aren't. We are not overlooking Dustin. And after speaking to Dustin today, he is more confident than I've seen in a long time. And it ain't a put on. He is not trying to put on and make people feel like he's ready to go. Dustin Poirier is ready to fight. So when we left Vegas, whatever questions he had to ask for himself in terms of what time should I be sleeping? What time should I be doing this? He had a lot of different things he needed to figure out and get ready. And over the course of that last week, he's got them all answered. And he seems sure that he's going to get his job done.
You mentioned the game plan. What's the game plan? What did he tell you?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
those things are for me as a commentator to, have when Dustin's in the octagon. I would never betray the trust of a fighter for a guy in the media.
Of course. What do you mean a guy in the media? I'm not just a guy in the media. I'm your co-host, and I would never betray that trust. I was just trying to catch you slipping. If you would have started to tell me, I would have stopped you. That's how honorable I am. But could I ask you, if you're his head coach, what should the game plan be?
If you're Mike Brown and the rest of the coach at American Top Team, one thing is there's big moments, right? There are little battles within fighting a guy like Conor McGregor. So I call back to Khabib, right? And I call back to how big that fight was. Granted, we had never seen anything like it, but Javier Mendez and all the coaches had been there before. There's something to being in those moments before as a coaching staff that will allow for the fighter to stay more patient. The American Top Team coaches have seen everything. They've been in the spotlights. They fought Rousey. They fought Cyborg. They've been in those big moments. They can pass all that big experience on to Dustin. So there won't be panicking in the corner from the coaches. So he will not carry that nervousness. If I'm cornering and coaching Dustin Poirier, I'm telling him, you got to survive the onslaught. Because Conor McGregor is a guy that starts fast, obviously. He's shown at times that he can fatigue. But if Conor McGregor thinks that he can get you out of there and he doesn't have as much respect for you, it's even worse. He starts even faster. I don't think for 1 second he respected Donald Cerrone. I just didn't. So he just ran across the octagon and tried to knock him out. He was off balance. He threw the left hand, was reaching. I think when he says stuff like, I'm going to finish Dustin in 60 seconds, he may not necessarily have as much respect for Poirier. So you have to really be aware at second one of McGregor just really trying to get you out. And so I think he needs to weather the onslaught, take his time, and not get caught up in the extra and get himself caught with something, because there's not many guys that hit as hard as McGregor and are as accurate and are as fast.
Conor told me when I spoke to him last week that he obviously maintains he will win in around 60 seconds, but he welcomes a war. Now, he said a war for me might be something different than what it means for Dustin Poirier. But do you believe him? Like, because I said, like, would you like for it to go long? He's like, yeah, I'd love to get some extra time in. or, but that goes against everything that he's always done, like in and out, clean, no damage. What do you think? You think he believes that? You think he really actually wants that?
I think when he says that to you, it's a part of him just kind of like reflecting on everything. But I think that he's reflecting on it in a way that if it happens, he has to be okay with it, right? He's seen it, he's visualized it. But in his mind, in his heart of hearts, he really does believe he's going to get him out of there because he's done it once. And the one time he hit, it didn't take many. He hit him one time, and he was able to knock Dustin out with all that buildup. So in his mind, he now feels if I can get one, I'm going to put him out. That's going to make him even more dangerous, especially early. As they're fresh, he's going to be more dangerous because I just don't know if you can say I'm going to knock a guy out in a minute and ultimately have a lot of respect for him.
I mean, you've been in this spot before where you beat a guy and then had to beat him, a second time. Like the Jones fights were different, but like Anthony Johnson, you beat him convincingly and then had to fight him again. Stipe beat him convincingly, had to fight him again. Is there a pressure on a fighter to do something even greater the second time to prove that you're even better than the guy who beat him the first time? Or is that just something that we talk about?
No, I think that's from people on the outside. For a fighter, you just got to try to win, right? You want to win the fight. You want to prepare yourself to fight. You know what's out ahead of you, right? And you're fighting the guys are so dangerous. Rumble Johnson was so dangerous. I was always very aware of who Stipe Miocic was. I knew he was dangerous. So you don't try to top the performance. You just try to get the job done again because there's a reason that guy's back there. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason he's back there. He didn't just get back there because you guys have history. Dustin Poirier is back against Conor McGregor because after he lost him, he became the interim champion. He's beaten so many great guys, Justin Gaethje. He's beaten Dan Hooker.
Eddie
He's
Alvarez.
beaten Max Holloway. He's beaten so many great fighters now that there's a reason that he's back there. So Conor needs to go out and just win. It cannot be I need to do better than I did before. Dustin, that's where the pressure is, right? Because as you said, I went into a fight as the guy that won the first one and had to do it again. I also went into the fight as the guy that lost the first one and was trying to win the second one. And you'll never get an opponent that's more motivated because they feel, especially in that sense, where Dustin got knocked out so fast that if that didn't happen, over 25 minutes or 15 minutes, he would have still beat Conor. And I don't think you can really take from that fight that Conor is just a much better mixed martial artist than Dustin. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't see enough of the fight to know whether or not one guy was much better than the other. Conor was a better striker, and he obviously has fantastic power on that night to find that shot. But if this thing goes long, then we will know who's the better kicker, who's the better puncher, who's the better wrestler, who's the better grappler. That's when you figure out who's the better mixed martial artist. Now, if McGregor goes out there and knocks him out again, obviously he's better because then you can't stop the one thing or the one area where you think he can beat you.